The first time I realized something was wrong, it wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no meeting invite with a scary subject line. It was just a red light. I stood there in the lobby I'd walked through almost every weekday for a decade, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, watching my keycard blink red at the elevator. I tried again. Same thing. Red. A soft beep, polite but final. Like the building itself had decided I didn't belong anymore. The security guard glanced over. He didn't rush. He didn't look surprised. He smiled just a little. Not cruel. Worse. Casual. "Ma'am," he said, already stepping closer, "you'll need to come with me." That's how it started. Not with an explanation, not with respect, with a walk. I remember the sound of my heels on the marble floor too loud for how quiet the lobby suddenly felt. I remember thinking this must be a mistake. 10 years does that to you. It makes you trust the system, makes you believe loyalty counts for something. It didn't. They sat me in a small conference room that smelled like air freshener and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Across from me sat a woman from HR I'd passed 100 times in the hallway but never really spoken to. She kept her eyes on the table like the wood grain might save her. "There's been a decision regarding your employment," she said. Not my performance, not my role. My employment. Past tense already. I waited for the punchline. The context. Something to explain how 10 years of late nights, clean audits, record-breaking quarters could end in a sentence that flat. Instead, she slid a folder toward me. Thick, heavy, almost respectful in its weight. Effective immediately, she continued, "Your position has been eliminated. This is your severance package." I opened it. The number stared back at me like it was daring me to react. It was a lot, too much, enough to make most people stop asking questions. My hands shook not from fear confusion. I'd spent my career finding patterns, spotting anomalies, and this was an anomaly. "My team exceeded targets," I said quietly. "We were up over 20% last quarter. The proposal I submitted—" "The company is moving in a new direction," she interrupted, still not looking at me. "New leadership, new priorities." That's when she finally said his name. The new executive. The one who'd arrived 6 months earlier with big words, bigger confidence, and a habit of rebranding other people's ideas as his own. "You have 30 minutes to clear your desk," she finished. "Security will escort you." 30 minutes. 10 years reduced to half an hour and a cardboard box. The walk back to my office felt unreal. People stared. Some looked away too fast. Others watched like it was entertainment. I caught my reflection in the glass, same blazer, same posture, but something was already missing. I packed fast. Awards. A plant my team gave me when I got promoted. Photos from company events where we all smiled like we believed in the same future. I grabbed my personal laptop last. Old habit. I always kept my own records, emails, drafts, notes. At the time it felt obsessive. That day it felt like instinct. Outside, the wind cut through my jacket. I sat in my car engine running, staring up at the building that had taken so much of my life without even saying goodbye. When my mom called and asked how my day was, I broke. "I got fired," I said. She didn't rush to fill the silence. She never does. "Come home," she finally said. "We'll figure it out." That night my apartment felt too quiet. I poured a glass of wine I didn't want and stared at the severance packet sitting on my counter like a loaded weapon. Buried inside was the real cost. A non-disclosure agreement. Permanent. Absolute. Silence in exchange for safety. That's when it hit me. If this was just business, why were they paying so much to shut me up? I opened my laptop. At first I told myself I was just organizing files. Closure. That's what people call it when they're not ready to admit they're looking for answers. But once I started, I couldn't stop. Emails. Performance reviews. Old meeting notes. I noticed names. Dates. People who'd quietly disappeared over the past 2 years. Talented people. People who didn't fit a certain mold. Then the call started going unanswered. Messages left on read. A recruiter who'd been enthusiastic a week earlier suddenly going in another direction. Rumors reached me through whispers. I was difficult. Not a team player. Too confrontational. Code words. I'd heard them my whole career. I just never thought they'd use them to erase me. The NDA deadline loomed. Sign it and I'd be comfortable. Quiet, invisible. But every time I imagined signing, I saw the next person. And the next. Smart, loyal, disposable. I opened a spreadsheet. I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because numbers don't lie, and because I needed to know if I was crazy. I wasn't. The pattern was clear. Terminations, promotions, severance amounts. The people pushed out all shared something in common. So did the people who stayed. That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, finger hovering over the keyboard. Not dramatic, no music swelling, just the hum of the refrigerator and the weight of a decision I couldn't undo. Taking the money would have protected my comfort. Speaking up would cost me everything else. I wrote the email the way I'd written every report my entire career. Calm, precise, documented, no accusations, just facts. I sent it to the board, to regulators, to people who had a responsibility to look even if they didn't want to see. Then I waited. The silence after you tell the truth is louder than any room full of laughter. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel brave. I felt sick, like I'd just jumped without checking how far the ground was. But I wasn't in the room when the questions started. I wasn't there when meetings were called, when voices got tight, when stories stopped lining up. I didn't have to be. I wasn't trying to burn the place down. I just stopped holding it up. Things moved fast after that, too fast to process. Calls from reporters, messages from people I hadn't spoken to in years. Some thanking me, some warning me, some threatening. They pulled the severance offer. I laughed when they told me. I'd never signed it anyway. When the executive who dismissed me was placed on leave, I felt nothing. No triumph, no closure, just a strange quiet. Like the storm had passed and left debris I wasn't sure how to step around yet. I didn't go back. I didn't ask for my job. I didn't want it anymore. I found something better, not immediately, not easily, but honestly. Now when I think about that red light in the lobby, I don't see humiliation anymore. I see clarity. They thought firing me would end the story. Turns out it was just the moment I stopped being silent. So let me ask you something. If staying quiet protects your comfort, but speaking up protects everyone who comes after you, what would you choose?